Hello learners, and welcome to this session on active passive voice. I am Dr. Samina Azhar from the Department of English at the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. In today's session, we will discuss active and passive voice. We will also learn the rules of changing the voice, and at the end of the session, we will attempt an exercise. So, what is active voice? Active voice has a sentence in which subject performs the action. So, you have three sentences on your screen. God loves all men, birds build nest, the boy kicked the ball. Let us take the first one. God loves all men. God is your subject, verb is loves, and all men is the object of your sentence. So, the structure of active voice is S, V, O. S for subject, V for verb, O for object. Now, let us move to passive voice. A passive voice sentence takes the subject of the active voice sentence as its object. So, we have God loves all men as active voice. If we change it into passive voice, the sentence will be all men are loved by God. So, all men is your object, of course, which was the object of the active voice. All men are loved by God. So, all men is the subject of your passive voice, which was the object of your active voice. Are loved, we have dual verb, we have two verbs. By God, by is preposition, and God is the subject of the sentence in active voice. So, God loves all men is active voice. We change it into passive voice, it becomes all men are loved by God. Same is with the other sentences. Birds build nest, nests are built by birds. The boy kicked the ball was kicked by the boy. So, when do we use passive voice? We use to stress the action done, and if the doer is unknown, we use passive voice, and sometimes for the sake of convenience also we used passive voice. So, we conclude that active voice is used to show that the subject of the sentence is performing or causing the action. You have three sentences on your screen. Tim threw the ball, Tim shot the basketball from the free throw line, Tim scored 3 points. In all these three sentences, Tim is doing the action. Whereas, in passive voice, we use the subject as the recipient of the action. So, we have the ball was thrown by Tim, the basketball was shot by Tim from the free throw line. 3 points were scored by Tim. In all these three sentences, we have the subjects beginning the, we have the objects beginning the sentences. Passive voice is used when the subject is the recipient of the action. So, we have three sentences. The ball was thrown by Tim, the basketball was shot by Tim from the free throw line, 3 points were scored by Tim. In all these three sentences, the objects, they begin the sentence, and therefore, the subject is the recipient of the action. Now, let us talk about some important points. First thing that you have to remember, that transitive verbs have both active and passive forms. Then the second thing is, active voice is used when you want to be direct and concise. The passive voice requires a double verb. That is, we have to use to be form of the verb and the past participle form of another verb. For example, we have the sentence Jack ate the bread. The voice is active. We change it into passive voice. and the sentence becomes the bread was eaten by Jack. So, was is our to be form of the verb and eaten is the third form or the past participle form of eat. Next point that we have to remember is that passive voice emphasizes the main point of the message. For example, children were harmed by the drunk driver. What is important here? Children were harmed. So, this is the point we have to emphasize and therefore, we use passive voice. Next important thing is when the subject of the sentence is not important or intentionally we try to hide it. For example, the mistake was made by someone. This someone is not important. We use passive voice. Cheating was committed by me. I want to hide this me intentionally. Therefore, I am using passive voice. Now, next important thing that you have to remember is the change of pronoun. So, we have active voice, we have all pronouns of subjective case. For example, I am writing a letter, he has written a letter, we wrote a letter. So, I, he, we, they are all subjective case of pronouns. But when we change them into passive voice, I am writing a letter will become a letter is being written by me. This is the objective case of pronoun. A letter has been written by him in the next sentence. The third one will be a letter was written by us. So, we have to be very careful about the change that comes to pronouns. Now, the rules for changing the voice from active to passive. First thing you have to do is to identify the object, subject and the verb. So, we have to identify the subject, verb and object in a sentence. Then we have to change the object into subject because in passive voice we will use the object of active voice as the subject. Then we have to select the suitable helping or auxiliary verb and we should use the same helping verb. But we have to also keep in mind that the helping verb should agree with the object selected. Then we change the main verb into its third form or past participle form. Then add preposition by and after by we will add the agent which is the subject of the active voice. Now, it becomes an object to the preposition. Let us begin with the first rule of changing the voice. We have two sentences on our screen. They speak English, he speaks English. Both are in simple present tense. So, we change these sentences into passive voice and now they are English is spoken by them. English is spoken by him. So, what we have done? We have applied a formula according to which is MR because it is in simple present tense plus third form of the verb or past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent and we have the sentence English is spoken by them, English is spoken by him. Then we have two sentences in present continuous tense. They are I am learning my lessons, you are making a cake. My lessons is the object to the first sentence, a cake is the object to the second sentence. So, we have to bring this object in the beginning of the sentence in passive voice. So, my lessons because it is lessons I told you to keep in mind that the subject should agree with the verb. So, my lessons are being learnt by me, a cake is being made by you. So, what we have? We have a formula is MR plus being plus past participle of the verb plus by plus agent. Then the third is present perfect tense and we have two sentences as examples. We have painted the doors, they have won the match, both of them are in active voice. To change them into passive voice, we will apply a formula has, have depending on the number of the subject plus been plus past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent. So, we have now the sentences the doors have been painted by us, the match has been won by them. So, we have doors have been painted. The match has been won, and we will add by us, by them as by plus agent. Next we move to the next rule, and we have two sentences. Both of them are in simple past tense. My friends helped me. A large crowd cheered the players. Both are in active voice. We will change them applying the formula to passive voice. So, we have was, were depending upon of course the subject plus past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent, and now we have the sentence I was helped by my friends. The players were cheered by a large crowd. Next we have past continuous tenses. So, we have two sentences, both are in active voice. I was learning my lessons. You were making a cake. We will change them into passive voice. Apply this formula. Again, was, were depending on the subject. Being, because it is in continuous tense, plus past participle of the verb plus by and agent. And we have sentences in passive voice as my lessons were being learned by me. A cake was being made by you. Next we have past perfect tense, and the pair of sentences we have. We had painted the doors. They have won the match. Both are in active voice. We will change them into passive voice. We will apply this formula. Had plus been plus past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent. And now we have sentences in passive voice. The doors had been painted by us. The match had been won by them. Then we have simple future tense, and the two sentences we have are the teacher will teach a new lesson today. The laborers will repair the road. Both are in active voice. We will apply the formula and change them into passive voice. So, what is the formula we have for passive voice? Will or shall plus be plus past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent. And now we have sentence number 1. A new lesson will be taught by the teacher today. The road will be repaired by the laborers. Next we have future perfect tense, and the two sentences we have are he will have closed his shop by 8 o'clock. I shall have saved enough money to buy a house by 2024. These are in active voice. We will apply the formula will or shall plus have plus been plus past participle form of the verb plus by and plus agent. And now the sentences in passive voice we have are his shop will have been closed by 8 o'clock. Enough money will have been saved by me to buy a house by 2024. Then we have future continuous tense, and the two sentences are they will be watching the movie next Sunday. He will be doing a test tomorrow. And we will change them into passive voice by applying this formula will or shall plus be plus being plus past participle form of the verb plus by and plus agent. And now the sentences in passive voice are the movie will be being watched by them on next Saturday. A test will be being done by him tomorrow. Next we come to the use of models. We have she can sell the car every time. So, this is an active voice, but we have a model can in it. So, how we will change that into a passive voice? We will apply this will or shall or can, whatever the model is, be plus past participle form of the verb plus by plus agent, and the sentence will be a car can be sold by her every time. Next we move to imperative sentences. They are either request or command. So, suppose we have a sentence in active voice, help me. How will we change it into passive voice? We will apply this formula. We have let plus object plus be plus past participle. So, help me will become in passive voice as let me be helped. Same is the case with open the door. Let the door be opened. Don't eat this fruit. Let not this fruit be eaten. Sing a song. Let a song be sung. Now we move to interrogative sentence. And remember, when you change the voice, you should not change the structure of a sentence. A question should always remain a question. So we have to select a suitable helping verb, or we will begin, if suppose the question is WH question, we will begin with the same WH. So you have a sentence or you have an interrogative sentence. Are you writing a letter? This is an active voice. We will change it into passive voice because we have to change. We have to select this letter. So, is a letter, because this is one letter, we have to be very careful with the verb subject agreement. Is a letter being written by you? And it should always remain a question. So, there is a question mark. Is she beating the child? Will become, is the child being beaten by her? Will you accept the position? Will the position be accepted by you? Who broke the window? Now we have different sentence. By whom was the window broken? Why did you write such a letter? Why was such a letter written by you? And this is an exercise that you have to do. Please attempt this exercise and tally your answers. With this, we end our discussion on active passive voice. Hope you have understood the concept of the voice change. Thank you so much for watching this video.